South Jamaica, baby, they made me to be the greatest. Serving the deed of my creators, fresh off of my high haters. It's the king again, Magdalene, Chauffeur, bragging and boasting.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Dollars. Welcome back to the channel. It's another day, another dollar video. We got another Simpsons video for y'all. This time is 15 more times the Simpsons predicted the future. And, you know, we've seen a couple of them that it's kind of crazy how they know certain things are going to happen the way that they happen. Because a lot of times, a lot of these videos are like years before the situations occurred. I believe the one with Trump when he's holding the little crystal ball, the crystal globe with the Saudi Arabian dude, another dude. That episode aired like how many years before that picture actually was taken, right? And then we had the recent one with the Ocean Gate submarine disaster shit. I don't know when that episode came out though. So yeah, we're gonna check this one out. Y'all already know my thoughts. If y'all seen my previous videos, you know, the people that make these shows, they know because they are part of that group, guys. You know what I'm saying? They got inside information. So it is what it is, man. Some people choose to not wake up to what's going on. That's them. You know what I'm saying? I tell you like this, bro. The truth will set you free. Anyway, let's check this video out.
I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
A new disease. No one's immune.
No, we just have to blame it on something that's in every household. House cat flu is coming.
The Simpsons are known for predicting the future on more than several occasions. And as the years pass, you may be wondering if they've hit the bullseye once again. Well, make sure you watch the entire video because to no surprise, the Simpsons managed to predict the future again. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Disney buys Fox.
Proud addition to the Disney family and soon appearing on Disney Plus. I, for one, salute our new corporate overlords.
In terms of entertainment, Disney is king. But that's honestly because they've been buying all...
Disney been falling off lately with all the woke bullshit ass shows and movies. I think Indiana and the Jones flopped in the box office. What else they dropped that flop? The Buzz Lightyear. You know, they ruined Star Wars. Like, don't get me started with Disney, bro. They really just ruined a lot of franchises that people really love.
All sorts of extensions for themselves over the last 10 years.
Did you want to win any of these items on the screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message.
They bought Marvel Comics, they bought Lucasfilm, and now they're a little under 2 months away from officially owning Fox and all of its properties, which is a huge get, and one that would be shocking if The Simpsons didn't predict in 1998.
They literally a monopoly, bro.
Upon a Star has Homer making a movie script and actually getting picked up by Ron Howard and Brian Gazer. As we go to the movie studio, we see that it got backing from 20th Century Fox, but under the logo 20th Century Fox are the words, a division of Walt Disney Co. Yup, they knew that Disney would buy the company 20 years before it happened. Super Bowl's halftime.
Wow, 20 years. 20 years before they actually brought that's crazy.
Show. In 2012, the show did an episode featuring the very over-the-top artist Lady Gaga, and she did a performance in a town of Springfield, but her performance was done nearly entirely in midair. Fast forward to 2017, and Lady Gaga was asked to go and do the Super Bowl halftime show, and to start the entire thing off, she jumped off the roof of the entire stadium. It was staged, obviously.
She crazy for that one.
All and resembled parts of what she did in Springfield is very weird. Maybe she remembered the episode and decided to mirror it. Weirder things have happened.
I mean, that's what I was thinking too. Like, she probably seen that episode and decided, hey, I want to do something like that. And artists doing shit from on top of the roofs and shit, that's not really nothing that's new.
Happened when Lady Gaga is concerned. eBay trouble. When you have a comedy like The Simpsons that can poke fun of anything and everything, you'll find that there are tiny jokes lodged at institutions and even other countries everywhere. And this was shown in full in season 23 during a scrolling marquee. Homer Simpson is invited to be a guest on the TV show Headbutt, and during the episode, the lower ticker has a gag that reads, Europe puts Greece on eBay. It's a throwaway gag about the country's debt. However, in 2015, Greece defaulted on its debt, and the country is still having financial troubles today. To be clear, Greece was having financial troubles at the time of the episode back in 2012, but their prediction of the eBay sale was technically right because of the defaulting, and it's these little jokes and gags that prove why many people pay attention to The Simpsons, because they get a lot right. Nobel Peace Prize. Let's start off with a basic one, shall we? Lisa, Martin, Database, and Milhouse had a betting pool for the Nobel Prize in a 2010 episode, season 22, episode 1 to be exact. If you look to the right of the red circle, you'll notice Milhouse picked Bengt R. Holstrom to win the prize for economics. In 2016, Holstrom actually won that prize. That's one heck of a coincidence, and obviously when it comes to the Nobel Peace Prize, certain people are nominated year after year for their accomplishments. Sigmund Freud, for example, was nominated.
One thing I want to know about that Nobel Peace Prize, because to me that shit is bullshit anyway. How many of those dudes that won the Nobel Peace Prize were actually like deserving of the award? Like, because I remember they gave Obama the Peace Prize and he was freaking bombing countries, right? So, you know, how many of those dudes that won that award were actually bullshitting?
Nominated 13 times, though he never did win. Anyway, it's kind of funny to see that they were able to pick a winner from the future. Makes you wonder what other guesses involving people they've done. FIFA corruption scandal.
I am the executive vice president, what you Americans call soccer. I see that I myself am about to be arrested for corruption.
Unlike the previous entry, this one was not only accurate, it was timely. This particular prediction came in 2014 in season 25, episode 16. Lisa gives a speech about her father being a hero, which goes viral. Because of this, Homer is asked to referee games at the World Cup in Brazil. Homer refuses bribes to fix games, as corruption seems to be rampant at the World Cup. In 2015, it was revealed that certain bodies within FIFA were involved in bribery, fraud, and money laundering. I know that this kind of thing may seem small time compared to all the other scandals that we've gone through, but trust me when I say that this was a big deal at the time and is still a big deal to this day. FIFA isn't just a soccer organization, it's one that encapsulates the world in a way that is even bigger than the NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. Numerous countries and people were affected by this scandal, and it made the revelation of it all the more shocking. And the fallout.
So what happened? Did they rig matches or something? Like, I need to look into that more. I think the last World Cup was the first time I started really getting into it. I just need to learn the rules, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, I love sports, so I needed something new, and I started watching the World Cup and shit. I just don't like the time zones. Like, they start the games early. Well, for us it's early. To them, you know, it's a different time zone. So I was missing most of the games, but the ones I did see, I was enjoying it.
Of it all the more important. You almost have to think that the Simpsons writers knew something would happen with FIFA before making this episode, but obviously we can't prove that. But again, to do this episode and then next year have it be revealed as true, it's pretty insane.
That is crazy.
One of the biggest and most important things about the Simpsons is that Homer is an idiot, and has been for most of the series, and yet Homer Simpson almost predicted the mass of elementary particles, the Higgs Boson, more than a decade before it was discovered, according to a book on The Simpsons. In the
no way.
Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, aired in 1998, Homer becomes an inventor and is shown in front of a blackboard with a complicated equation. This may seem like basic stuff, and you'd think that the equation that was on the blackboard had a secret message or was written in a way that mathematicians could say, yeah, that's a real formula, or something like that, right? Except it was real, and in 2012, it was almost spot on for the actual formula that predicted the mass of the Higgs boson particle. That equation predicts the mass of the Higgs boson. Writer Simon Singh said, if you work it out, you can get the mass of a Higgs boson that's only a bit larger than the nanomass of a Higgs boson actually is. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes this prediction for
the Higgs boson. Isn't that the shit that they working on in the the Hadron Collider in CERN? I think CERN was working on that.
14 years before it was discovered. That is one weird and freaky coincidence. It's been proven multiple times that there are plenty of math geeks on the Simpsons writer staff, and so there's no doubt they put their heads together to make that equation. But to be able to basically predict the mass of a particle over a decade before accredited scientists figured it out, I think
that's different.
Nobel Peace Prize, right? Autocorrect. Oh yeah, this is the shout out to everyone who has had frustrations with autocorrect, smartphones in general, and just trying to get your device to understand what you're saying or thinking. School bullies Kearney and Dolph take a memo to beat up Martin on a Newton device in an episode of The Simpsons that aired in 1994. The memo gets quickly translated
1994.
An early foreshadowing of autocorrect frustration.
Wait a minute, and it looks like he got an Apple product too. That's wild.
Martha, an early foreshadowing of autocorrect frustrations. The Simpsons was lampooning Apple's underwhelming.
Bro, that shit just makes me feel like, bro, the technology that we get, the government, obviously, they're like years ahead of the shit that they give to us. So they probably had iPhones in the early 90s, bro. You feel me? They probably had shit that, the shit that we just getting now, the government had it 20 years ago, before we even got it.
Newton, the iPhone's ancient ancestor that had just been released and included shoddy handwriting recognition, according to Fast Company. Nitin Gantra, former director of engineering iOS applications at Apple, told Fast Company that this particular moment on The Simpsons served as inspiration to get the iPhone keyboard right.
Wow.
An important thing that you need to remember is that The Simpsons premiered in December of 1989, so a lot of what they were doing was based on both their present and what the writers perceived the future would be like. For example, in 1995, cell phones weren't really a thing in the mass market yet, and the idea of a phone being put into a watch was unheard of, except for in The Simpsons, that is. During season 6, a future timeline showed Lisa with a husband, and that husband had a smartwatch on, and that smartwatch had the ability to take orders from Hugh, Lisa's husband, and give orders
and voice activated.
2014, and
that's
the first
wild.
Smartwatches were born and released to the public, and with each passing year, they got stronger in function and are able to do more.
The funny thing about all this smart technology, the more smart technology that we get, the more dumb people get, bro. You know what I'm saying? You can have smartphones, smart watches, smart homes, but these people are getting dumber and dumber. Like, how does that work? I guess because it's like when you have everything that can do, when you have things that could do everything for you and you don't need to use your own brain, you know, that makes your brain weaker. You know, you're relying on your phone for everything. You're not actually letting your brain exercise and get smarter. So that's what I think the whole issue with smartphones and smartwatches and all this technology. Yes, it's good that we're getting so much technology, but in the long run has been more detrimental on humans, I think.
More, and the sky is literally the limit for them right now. Domino's even made it to where you could go and use your smartwatch to order a pizza from them, which obviously
I feel like people need to go on detox from technology sometimes.
This was where everything was going, and thus decided to do their own spin on things. Never forget, Star Trek was the literal birthplace of cell phones because of the communicators they had on the show. So who's to say they didn't look at The Simpsons during this episode and go, yeah, we can do that. The Rolling Stones. Here's actually another future prediction come true from the very same episode. During Lisa's wedding, we get to look at the room her and Hugh share, and on the wall of the room is a poster that reads, The Rolling Stones Steel Wheelchair Tour. Obviously, this is a dig at the age of the Rolling Stones back in 1995, and how they would likely still be performing in 2010 when the
wheelchair tour.
They were right. Not only were the Stones still going in 2010, they were still making waves. For example, a few years before the deadline that episode laid out, the Rolling Stones were headliners at the Super Bowl 35 back in 2006. And yeah, the Rolling Stones are still going at it today. This goes to show that they can still get some satisfaction. And the Simpsons can get satisfaction that they were correct in yet another prediction. And it wouldn't be their last one.
I mean, that prediction ain't too far-fetched though. Like, you know, at that time the Rolling Stones were out of this world. You know, they one of the most popular groups ever. So it's not hard to imagine that they will still be around in 2010 doing tours and making music.
One in terms of musical talent, albeit from a much newer source and one who isn't quite as old as Mick Jagger. Las Vegas. Sometimes it's honestly rather scary how accurate the Simpsons get in their predictions, especially when it comes to tragedies that actually occur. In 1993, during the 5th season, they had an episode called Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. Basically, Mr. Burns had legalized gambling in Springfield and opened up a casino to prove how much money he could make. And in that casino was a couple of performers, Gunter and Ernst, and it was oh so obvious that these two were meant to spoof the legendary Vegas duo Siegfried and Roy. During the episode, one of the duo actually got attacked by one of their pet tigers, a hilarious bit for the show.
That really happened though, right?
Real 10 years later.
Holy shit, I remember this.
Attacked by one of the tigers that they had performed with time and time again. The mauling was so bad that it ended their careers and Roy was severely hurt. There's a lot of controversy still surrounding what happened, but there's no denying that the Simpsons were uncannily accurate with how it would go down. I didn't vote for him. Elections are something that every sitcom or animated series set in the real world tries to make fun of, and the big one is coming later. And the Simpsons were no different. In 2008, the show decided to do an episode that featured not just voting, but voting via an electronic machine. This was a big setup for the world following the 2000 presidential controversy in Florida, where votes were recounted because of incorrect marking. And so surely an electronic solution would work.
I remember that.
As there is no way a system like that could fail, right? Well,
they were saying that George got his brother to rig that shit because his brother was the governor of Florida at that time, Jeb Bush.
The Simpsons team knew the flaws in that system, so during the 2008 election, they had Homer use one of these machines to go and vote for Barack Obama. Except that when he pushed the sensor for Obama, the vote tallied up for John McCain instead, and of course hijinks ensued. Fast forward a mere 4 years later to the 2012 election, and a very similar thing happened. One of the electronic voting machines wasn't calibrated properly, and due to this, it took a vote for Barack Obama and tallied it for his.
Listen, bro, to me, I feel like voting doesn't even matter. Like, I just feel like that shit is rigged regardless. You know, presidents aren't elected, they're selected. I believe that is true.
Opponent Mitt Romney instead. Obviously this was a big scandal and it had to be fixed, and yet when people looked back at the episode, it was uncannily accurate again. These are the predictions that weird people out, because when you predict something like a Nobel Peace Prize winner or the creation of smartwatches, those are honestly lucky guesses. But to get something like this, yeah, that's something. Mutated tomatoes. During the episode EI Annoyed Grunt,
GMOs?
the Simpsons got themselves a farm and decided to go and grow tomatoes. But in the process of growing them, Homer actually used nuclear power to fuse tomatoes with tobacco. Because he did this, the tomatoes actually became highly addictive, and when they grew, they were giant and deformed. Surely nothing like this would happen in real life, right? Wrong. Because while the episode aired in 1999, around 2013, a field of tomatoes in Japan were found to have grown to an enormous size that didn't make any sense. It was found out that the tomatoes were actually a result of contamination from the nearby nuclear power plant, and thankfully they weren't addictive, but the
Whose bright idea was that to put a farm right next to a nuclear power plant?
fact still remains that this kind of deformed tomato still happened. There's also a lot of controversy over genetically engineered tomatoes that have been grown by
GMOs?
certain companies, which no doubt could go the Homer Simpson route if they wanted to.
Bro, that's a whole nother video right there talking about that topic, about like what they doing with the food supply. It's like, yo, it's coming to a point where if you ain't got your own food supply, you ain't growing your own stuff, it's gonna be really bad, guys. It's gonna be so bad because they really like violating our food, bro. You know, especially in America. Our FDA is worse compared to other countries in Europe. You know, the standard of our food that we getting is trash. You know what I'm saying? That's not even including the GMOs and all the other bullshit they've been doing, bro. Sad.
Of Thrones. This one is too good not to mention.
Game of Thrones
for years was the best show on television. The adaptation of the works of George
It was for years one of the best shows on television till the last 2 seasons messed everything up because they rushed it.
George R.R. Martin had many fans gripped for years and frequently tuning into HBO when the new season dropped so that they could watch the next episode. However, by the time season 6 and 7, they had run out of source material because Martin hadn't finished the book series. In fact, season 8 of the series is the most hated of the series, and the series finale is rated one of the most hated series finales of all time. You see
They
where this is
fumbled.
going, right? Yeah, The Simpsons predicted the big twist in season 8. In 2017, on a season 29 episode of The Simpsons titled The Surf's Son, which spoofed various aspects of Game of Thrones, including the Three-Eyed Raven and the Night King, Homer revives a dragon that proceeds to incinerate a village. Up until that point, the dragons of Daenerys had only burned certain things, not whole villages. But this was clearly different, and the positioning of the shot is not unlike the shot Cersei Lannister had when she watched the dragon, Drogon, burn down King's Landing. The NSA spying on us. One of the biggest controversies in the world right now is that of the government watching us from all sources. Our phones, our computers, even our televisions at times. And all of these spying endeavors can often be traced back to the NSA. Well, in the 2007 big budget project, The Simpsons movie, Homer and the family have to go on the run after an incident at a nearby lake. But while they're fleeing by bus, the NSA actually hacks into the bus driver, who was a robot, just so you know.
Damn.
So they can listen in on their conversation.
I don't know if I'm ready to love again. You hang up first.
Oh, you hang up first.
6 years later, in 2013, Edward Snowden revealed to the world that the NSA was indeed listening to people's conversations, and that drove the world nuts in many ways. President Trump. There are some out there who still can't believe that Donald Trump won the 2016 elections.
Trump 2024, baby.
to become the president of the United States. But all the
he's still a puppet, but he's my favorite puppet.
It could happen, and they
so it is what it is.
This was in the episode Bart to the Future, and featured another future timeline in which Lisa was actually the president of the United States, and she said lines that indicated that the billionaire businessman was indeed the president before her. But was it just a joke meant to be funny? Not according to the writers. They actually did the episode as a kind of warning to America. That just seemed like the logical last step before hitting bottom, the writer said. It was pitched because it was consistent.
That's crazy that they realized like society was so effed up that the course of society was going in such a bad direction that this was their worst case scenario if Trump was president, and look what happened. But I still don't know. To me, this is still kind of suspect, but this is funny. If you believe that they actually wrote that episode as a warning of, you know, how bad things could be. But I don't believe that's the case anyway, but it's just crazy.
With the vision of America going insane. Matt Groening was asked about this, and he recalled why Trump was picked then and why it's even more ironic now. Trump was, of course, the most absurd placeholder joke name that we could think of at the time, and that's still true. It's beyond satire. Indeed, Trump's current reign as president has been...
To me, that's not indicative of like society going crazy. The fact that he was elected is indicative of how messed up the government have to be at their job for that to even be the case. You feel me? And to me, I think he did a great job. I'm saying we was doing way better when he was in office. So it is what it is, man. I ain't trying to get political. Just my thoughts.
One full of controversy and chaos, and that's to put things lightly. You almost have to wonder what would have happened if we had learned from The Simpsons all those years ago. And there you have it, 15 times The Simpsons predicted the future. Can you believe that they got this much right? Which of these predictions are the most insane to you? Which ones made your jaw drop when you heard them? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, y'all let me know your thoughts on this. If you guys witnessed any other episodes that had like some type of predictions in it, let me know. I want to see what's I haven't watched Simpsons in so long. I think it's been years, bro. I did watch the Simpsons movie when it came out back in the day, but like I'm not into this type of shows anymore, like Simpsons and Family Guy, American Dad. The only show that I would still watch that I love is South Park. I'll still watch that shit, but yeah. Y'all let me know if there's any new episodes that's predicting shit that we haven't even seen yet. All right, anyway, it's your boy Dollars. I'm off this one.
For my time goes by, they gon' raise a nigga jersey in the sky. Treat a nigga right, big dreaming on my life. Shorty wanna get some air, I go and get up when I fly. Taking off when these niggas are retired. The minute I catch fire, I smoked them all before, just revisiting the high.